Get on my head. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. Turn off the phone. What the fuck? Okay, I already, I wanted to answer slash ponder really deep existential questions. So, where do you go to find the pure source of human, like rot and like interest and creativity? You go to Reddit. So that's where I am right now. I am on r slash existentialism. What is your favorite existential questions? I would love to know. 3 years ago. Okay, so if my ideas don't align with yours and, you know, we differ on opinions about existential fucking questions, that's cool. We're all different. Okay, we all have different worldviews. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, okay, okay. What is the true source of this thought, want, or pursuit? Why am I thinking or doing this? Who or what goal am I serving? Um, that feels like why do I live? Like what's my purpose? I mean, animalistically, like, you know, creatures are programmed, I think, to like go on, reproduce, but us humans are so we have other pursuits like creativity, knowledge, um, self-expression that we don't really that's not our main fucking pursuit, right? So I'm gonna say, what goal am I serving? That's like a personal journey that I really can't answer for you because we all serve different goals, I would say. Um, Someone commented, in short, why I exist in the first place. Kind of, yeah, okay. Now, I think I can't answer that one because that's for them to decide, right? Um, what happened before the beginning, and what happens after the end? You know, I always tell people my thoughts on time in the universe, and people think I'm crazy. But I really think that time is a like a when you drop a penny in a pond and it ripples and hits the outside walls and kind of comes back in. When the penny drops, that's like the Big Bang. And the universe is expanding and expanding. And I think we're still at that moment of like, you know, the beginning. And then it will, I think, all come back into collapse on itself again. And our Big Bang was not the first. It'll continue and happen again in like in a circle. You know, I don't think there's a zero. You know, year zero. I think it just existence is kind of like an infinite paradox of time loops and shit like that. And yeah, I don't even want to get into parallel universes because I just don't have thoughts on that. Where is the baseline of what is reality? The baseline of reality, in my humble opinion, is my just the raw five senses of being a human, right? Like, what am I physically, what's my brain inputting that is making me believe that this current thing is baseline reality? I don't know if they're talking about like, are we in a program? Like the base reality. Like, is this a simulation and some kid in another galactus world out there is playing us? I don't know. I would like to believe that my life isn't a program and some video game, but could be worse outcomes, we could be in a torture simulator. That would be worse. Or we could just be like, let's see what they do with free will and time. That's better. That's a better outcome. If my hamster truly loved me, then why did he bite me? Blushy sad face emoji. Animals have small brains. I've learned it. I have a snake myself, and they have like, okay, you're either food, I'm gonna attack you, or you're like not on my radar, I'm gonna ignore you. And that's kind of why I got a snake, because he's kind of like, you know, not the most, like, he doesn't need my love. Okay, we're like roommates. So your hamster probably bit you because he has that same animal brain. He doesn't have a reptile brain because he's not a reptile. But maybe you held him too hard. I don't know. Tell me more details. Maybe you didn't feed him for a really long time, and now he craves human flesh. That could be your reality. Okay, so I'm just gonna. What is my purpose here on Earth? Why was I born? Why am I still alive? Why am I not successful like everyone else around me? Okay, see, a lot of questions that you yourself need to answer. I can't be like, well, it's because you shop at Target, not Walmart, you know. Way beyond what these readers see. Yeah, okay, I think that's a statement. That does feeling. Get it faster. Oh, wait, that's an ad. Sorry about that. Yeah, a lot of why exists. I didn't expect to see a lot of that, but I understand that feeling of nihilism and like the hopelessness feeling of being a human, like the what significance does my reality serve to the greater population of the world? Why does anything matter? That can really like spiral you into a wormhole of self-loathing and suicidal thought, I think. So best not to ponder it, and best to find, a simple existence is better than a tortured one of thinking, why do I exist? What's the point of living if after you die, all your memories, thoughts, and experiences will be forgotten by you? Assuming that after death, you will be unconscious, like you're sleeping forever, which means that you can't think or feel emotions. Does this mean that the life you lived, how long it lasted, and how great it was won't matter? Question mark. For example, let's say you die early. After death, you won't feel emotion or sadness of knowing all your missed experiences. I think it's like the life you live impacts future generations, and or you know yeah, I mean, I definitely believe when you die, it's just like complete blackness. It's like that kind of sleep where you get put asleep for a surgery. It's a different kind. When you go to sleep for a bed, you, I think, feel time passing when you're sleeping naturally. But when you get put asleep, like medically, it's almost like a time jump. Like, what? It's been 12 hours and now I have three legs. Like, it's a blip. And I think death is like that blip, but you never wake up. I mean, I would like to also believe there's like a fucking Nirvana heaven scenario, because that sounds like rad. But I think life really only has meaning because it doesn't last forever. I think the mythology of creatures living forever kind of is a curse, because life has no purpose anymore. And I think at some point you'll have lived the life you want to have lived, and you'll feel okay dying, like you've completed everything you needed to do, and you become worm food, and that's kind of cool, you know. Um, to be or not to be? I think to be. To be cool and not to be a loser. Um, do we experience raw emotion and thought in the same way? In my degree of happiness, the same as other experience, are there people who experience a greater or lesser floor or ceiling for happiness? Are we all capable of the same magnitude of feeling? I mean, def def not. I think we all have different brain chemistries. Sociopaths exist, or psychopaths, whichever the one dulls the emotional feeling of like joy and um, like the human side of your brain versus just like the logical. So I think there's definitely like, I mean, I've met people, okay, trust and believe that they've probably felt like five sad thoughts their whole life and they're just blissfully super super happy. And I envy that because some of us go into darker places of the world mentally, and that's not fun. um yeah, okay, next question. Oh my god, okay. Sometimes I disassociate and get randomly distracted by the thoughts such as, how did life actually form? How did we appear specifically in the universe where everyone thinks almost the same, and we've came to a specific point in rationality? Um, okay, let me answer that. It's just like a long ass question. Let me answer this first one. How did life form? Um, from algae. How did we appear specifically in the universe where everyone thinks almost the same and we've came to specifically point of rationality? That's because the government wants us all to think a certain way and not for you to be creative and experimental. I'm just kidding. um, I don't know. It's like, why do birds migrate north? I think it's just like us humans are predisposed to chaos and, you know, creativity all the same. Um, what if we never existed and there would be nothing after the Big Bang to begin with? Well, then there would be nothing. Um, okay. Is the ocean a soup? I would say if you classify soup as, some liquid with mingling ingredients, you know, um, that's not just water. I think the ocean is a really big soup, and that's a really creative way of seeing the world. I think more people should think like you. Ice cream underscore nugget. Um, my favorite is, why do you give two shits about a lot of shit? Just live life, have fun, never kill anyone, never backstab anyone, never lie 99% of the time. You people are given a gift and don't know how to use it. Yeah, I am living a life. Well, that's a little blunt for some of us sensitive gals out there in the crowd. Okay, we can't all say the same. Um, it takes time and a conscious effort of life experiences, I think, to not give a shit per se. You know, some people are programmed to fully just give shits every day of their life. They just shit like 99% of the day. That's all they do is shit or give shits. And some of those people are really kind and they get taken advantage of. Okay. Um when you can think in reality, every thought you have may be preconceived, but you know that the dumb trying to be intelligent. That's dumb trying to be intelligent. Preconceived, like, have already been thought of. You know, that's what people say. Fashion always recycles. Music always recycles. The that used to get me down in art school. I don't know if this is what he's trying to ask, or Nation Welcome. You know that username. That everything is a recycling garbage bin of thoughts. That like the best things that are made are references of 20 other things. You know, that shouldn't really get you down because history always repeats itself, and it's, I guess, good to have experiences anew again and not just be like, well, humanity, we've really done it all. Let's just give up, you know. We've already experienced all the creative things. That's not really the best way to think. Are 4D beings real? Am I real? What if one day I wake up in 2016 realizing this whole thing was a dream? Okay. Another psychedelic crazy thought of mine that I tell people, and they're like, how's it feel to be on meth? You know, I I think certain kind of aliens or beings are 4D, and they live in the fourth dimension, and that's how they escape like the evolutionarily barrier that usually like kills the creatures, you know, of sorts. Like they evolve too much to like kill themselves out, or the universe wipes them out naturally. I think once they evolve to fourth dimension, or they understand the fourth dimension, then they really just like they live in the atoms between the particles of the air. Even like they can go through us. They be on some wild shit, you know. Um, am I real? I don't know. You could be a bot. Um, oh my god. Camus. There is only one really serious philosophical question, and that is suicide. You know, my brain likes to go there a lot, but I don't think that's a good question to have. My favorite. Haven't found an answer yet. Oh, that's replying to that. Um, what the actual fuck is this? No joke. Existence makes no sense. What the hell are we? Why are we so damn unique that nothing in existence is always is anywhere close to us? How the hell did all this happen? How in the fuck are physics constant? When did this really start? How are we here? And now in this moment, on the verge of complete world shift due to AI, how in my 32 years of have I seen AOL disk thrown in the trash because they're spam people mailboxing? Okay, let's talk about a disorder called disassociation. When I did a laced weed trip in high school, I hardcore disassociated for 9 months, meaning did not, you know, comprehend reality anymore. I felt like my legs were floating away from me for a long time. I think it's common in like bad drug trips, or like sadness. I don't know how it's predisposed to people or how it's came upon. I'm not that knowledgeable in it, but I've experienced it super heavily, and it makes you very suicidal because it's like every second you're like, what is reality? What is reality? What is reality? Like I don't even know how I got back to normal reality. I think I just grew into like feeling reality again and understanding how time goes by and shit like that. A lot of these questions I feel like are just conceptualizing that. It's also weird that our human POV is like they did a diagram of it that was like what we see is just like a nose, limbs, and like never our own head, so that we're this like weird amorphous creature. Have you ever heard about that? Am I going to Google that? Probably not. Probably not. Where was I before I was born? In your mom and in your dad. Is the world real? That's up for debate. Okay. I'm not Steve Jobs. I can't answer that. What's going to happen after death? You're going to go to heaven. What am I going to see after death? Your mom or the devil. Depends on how good you are. What is time? I don't know if people are joking when they tell me like time is a flat circle, but that's kind of what I said at the beginning. You know, it's like the repeating loops. It's looping, okay? Why am I aging? I think I read somewhere that it's like we're genetically predispositioned, holy fuck, to age, or like to get to a certain point, and like our genes tell us to like degrade. I really don't know what's the point of that. It seems kind of rude. Like, I guess resources are, you know, in a closed environmental perspective, like if we just populated forever and lived forever, I'm sure resources would run out if we were all immortal, you know. But maybe, I mean, there's certain like animals that have cracked immortality, like the jellyfish or the lobster or some tree species, but not like as conscious or fleshy and globular that we are, you know? They're more like simple. They don't eat Doritos too. Not to say people who eat Doritos die. I'm just saying like they don't have the same like junk food habits. You know, why were we genetically predispositioned to die? I think maybe in our code, you know, maybe back in the day, we did live forever and we got really sad. And our beings, maybe we got so sad that we killed ourselves, so that we genetically were like, maybe we should cut it at like a solid like 60, 90 range. Depends on how ambitious you want to be, you know? And that's why we die. Or maybe our genetics haven't evolved to that yet and we haven't cracked it yet and we're on our mission to get there. And then the cycle will repeat, or, you know, we've discovered it and then we don't want it anymore. And we discovered immortality and it's like, oh my God, there's like immortality wars. Stuff like that really makes you think, you know? All these movies, I'm like, is it really a curse? I don't know. How do you operate on a marine animal? I wonder the same thing. I have many, I think, surgical questions that would just be a long ass video trying to Google that. How do you operate on marine animals? Like, I think, how does one operate on a jellyfish? If it's all like mucus or whatever, you know, how do you stitch that up? I'm sure you don't really operate on like a slug either. I'm sure you just like let it die. But you know, big animals like a shamu and like a whale. I know what it's called. It's called a killer whale. Okay, I'm not stupid. I mean, you could stitch them up and just put like I don't know, because they have gills. They don't really have like lungs like we do. I'm sure maybe you just like run water through them like a hose. Like you put a hose in their gills and of, you know, the correct water pH, and you just go to town. Just rip them up. Fix whatever you need to fix. How did things come to be this way? from the beginning until now. It's my favorite because answering it is necessarily to robustly answer most of the other existential questions. How did things come to be? Well, some people say alien intervention. Some people think maybe we're the aliens and the reptilians were before us. You know, some people say we were bestowed upon life from God. Some say evolution. I personally think evolution is like a stumbling matter of, you know, algae to fish to amoeba to monkey to whatever. And we're just here. And, do I know all the answers along the way? No. But I think there's a million outcomes to what we could have become, of this current way. We could have had like 4 arms, or no hair or scales, and we would just exist that way forever and always think it's normal. And we would be like, oh my god, what if we had like 2 arms? That'd be crazy. How do I hold all my things? How do people swim when they don't have gills? That's crazy. It'd be like us pondering all the possibilities of all the other animals and their abilities, you know. Is that the end of the questions? I thought there was more. What the hell? Okay. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of how do I stop existential thoughts? Okay. I'm going to r/ask Reddit for what existential questions fucks you up the most. Because I kind of want to be, I want to have a fucked up conversation with you right now. Anytime I start to contemplate what consciousness actually is, I get a headache. It's just so weird using our brains to study our brain. It's like Googling Google. That is really true. Using the tools to understand the tools. I get that same brain fuckery with like time, the passage of time. Like, where does those moments of our existence go when it's over? And like, what is the current now? And like, it's weird that sorry, it's weird that other animals, experience time faster or slower. Like, not to be lame, but like a tree versus an insect. Like, some of their life cycles are a day, and some of their life cycles are like 2,000 years. So time fucks me up, but consciousness, I think, is the awareness of yourself and your input on the world, and the big and juicy enough brain to understand and to learn that you're sentient and alive and have more to do than biological predisposition needs like breeding and eating and sleeping. You're like, I can also finger paint and also finger my butt. Okay, wow. Some people write novels in here. Some of these things are hella fucking long, but I'm here to answer these burning questions. All we have is perception. Oh, that's a response to something I just. Okay, never mind. Sorry. That's a long ass response. The fact I'll be old and eventually die. My grandpa is my hero and in his early 80s now. Sharp as a tack, but he was in his early 60s when I was in elementary school. My whole life, he's just been old, incapable of doing some physical things, sore, tired, but very, very intelligent, handy, wonderful with family, seems to just get everything right. Okay, where's the question? It's the gap in between trying to figure myself and my life out currently and that point of being an elder that fucks up my current existence, considering we are all ephemeral in the end. Yeah, I mean that's just contemplating like getting old, right? Like why do we get old? I don't want to get old. But there's something sweet about aging, it's not to be like a Pinterest mom, but it's the signs of surviving, of the continuous learning, and you know, we should all be so lucky to grow old, to experience the extent of human suffering and pleasure. Um, that we are just a cluster of uncountable atoms which interact with each other in a specific way. What is the meaning of dying? Okay, more dying questions. I guess that's really existentialism at its core. It's just, you know, why? Why live? What is living? Why die? Why live? Our atoms will be still here and they will be reutilized by nature or something else. See, worm food. You're going to be part of Mother Nature again. The atom things, that is weird. Like, if you just keep zooming in, we're all just, like, particles vibrating with, like, hollow space in between it, but somehow it's staying together. Like, what the fuck? Like, if super correct precisional aiming and movement, you could phase through a wall if your atoms aligned the correct way. That seems like magic, but also probably like 1 in centillion percent chance of it actually happening. Yeah, atoms. That's weird. Also, that like water has memory. I haven't seen any creative questions. I mean, these are all creative, but like the fact that water has memory. Have you seen those fucking YouTube videos where it's, oh, we played Amy Winehouse in front of this water and then we froze it and then it froze a crystal shape of her face into the crystal. Like, what the fuck? Or we showed it a picture, no sound, just an image, and it froze like the image into the crystal. Like, is water consciousness? Because I mean, we're like 90% water. Jellyfish are, I'm sure, a big part water, big mucus animal. Do they, is consciousness just water? Are we like cohabitating water and us like a parasite? Is water a parasite that's consciousness in us, but also leaving us? Because we pee, we bleed. We lose some of ourselves back into the world. And if you drink someone's pee, I'm sure you get some of their consciousness in your body, but not like maybe significant amount. Like if you drink someone's blood or piss or like their fluids, do you absorb sentience from the water in a way of like knowledge? Or I don't know. I'm thinking like someone that's only spoken Chinese their whole life and someone that's only spoken English their whole life, and they had like blood transfusions between each other so that they were sharing blood. Could you do like a case study of teaching them the language that the blood was going into them? Would they learn faster than their counterparts because they have some of that water memory in their blood. Or, or not. They would have to be compatible blood type wise, but imagine if we all, that sounds like an awful idea for diseases. I mean, you have to be screened, obviously. But if you we all shared blood, we all shared blood, and we all became a uni-mind. I'm kidding. I'm getting offhand. If I'm teleported and all my molecules are torn apart and sent to a remote destination, did I just die and then me that comes out of the other end is a clone or separate entity? I have heard this theory before and it did fuck me up. I do believe that you died. Because consciousness is what you were, and if they destroyed you to recreate your molecules and consciousness there, I'm sure you there would just assume, business as usual. But it would be like going to sleep and never waking up again. And if you're okay with that, kind of epic, like part of me will live on. But I think that's just suicide. Unless it's like a portal, like the video game portal that you can just go through and you're vibing, like wormhole. Did I just say wormhole? Yeah. Like you're bending space and time. But I feel like if everyone had access to portals and bending space and time, imagine like 7 billion portals on the earth. How much like fucked up space and time would be. You could put a portal like at the center of the earth and at the center of the sun and just, I don't know, have that wreck the world. Or like germs. You could just have like such an easier spread of mass diseases if portals were in accessibility. There would have to be a lot of laws, I think, if portals were invented. If we only know the universe through our 5 senses, just how much of reality are we completely, hopelessly oblivious to? Ah, that is true. Also, colors. Because some people, not some people, maybe if you have an extra cones in your eyes for color reception. But butterflies and like shrimps, maybe whales, I don't know their eyeballs. They see extra colors, they see ultraviolet light. That is really rad. Yeah, I think that would maybe explain, let's say, dark matter. The unexplainable, maybe the paranormal. Maybe if we had extra senses, we could easily understand the 4th dimension. Or time, Or maybe that would make us become insane. Like understanding more senses would drive us all into madness. But the gift of knowledge is always, kind of doom and gloom sometimes. Right? If I understand everything, then nothing makes sense. Like that kind of mentality versus blissful ignorance. I mean, I hope we all are educated. I hope we're all not, sheeple of the government. Your mom had a mom who 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 had a mom. Blows my mind. That is really true. Like if you keep thinking like, oh my God, like how many generations of there were had to be to become me, And if I traveled back then, would you feel a bond or would it be like complete stranger? Probably stranger. I mean, they don't know you. You're from the future. How do you explain time travel to like a prehistoric man? They'd probably just kill you. I just think that's a really cool thing that's a fact. We'll have moms and dads and they go on until we were algae, I guess. There are things we will never understand simply because our brains can't handle it. The universe, with all its colors and sounds. See, I was saying colors of the shrumps, is just vibrations. How we see it is unique. What if there is life out there and we can't see it because our brains are too primitive? Um, yeah, I mean, maybe that's like also talking about the fourth dimension. You never know. Maybe our brains aren't tuned into the vibration of other dimensions, and we just, the aliens are all around us, and they're like, oh, look at these simple little amoebas looking at websites and talking in the dark to no one. That's so weird. What is out there? The universe is so goddamn big that we will never know. And I, for one, don't believe that we will ever become an intelligent or an intergalactic civilization. It is impossible to ever leave our galactic cluster because each galactic cluster is separating at a pace theoretically unattainable. Unless wormholes, okay? Maybe. I mean, that seems kind of nihilistic. Like, I have hope, you know. Whether have there been fossils of super intelligent things on Earth before? No, I don't see the dinosaurs having an iPod Nano. So I maybe have hope that we've cracked the code. We've already sent satellites out into buttfuck nowhere. I don't see anything coming our way. I mean, unless you believe some videos on the internet that they're already here or they're in our oceans. I don't know. God damn, I've been sick for like a week and a half. Go away. Go away, germ. The possibility of alien life form that is so different from us and so much more advanced that we can't even begin to comprehend its existence or its motivations or its way of seeing and affecting the world. The way bacteria cannot possibly understand a human, no matter how hard it tries, it just literally does not have the biological machinery to understand what a human is. In popular media, alien encounters typically take the form of something we can comprehend or at least experience with our normal senses. Spaceships landing on Earth, messages arriving from far away, people getting abducted for experiments, etc. These are all things we can observe or at least acknowledge using our standard machinery, ontology, etc. But what if, one day, weird shit just starts happening? Sounds like every day of life. Gravity starts to fluctuate, or physical laws start to break down, and we have no clue what the hell is happening or why it's because something so big and advanced is interacting with us the way we interact with ants when we dump a bunch of cement on them to build a highway. When we build a highway on an ant hill, the ants have no fucking clue what is happening and how it fits into the border scope of highway construction. They just notice that something huge and catastrophic is occurring, but have no way of ever beginning to grasp its significance or source or cause. What if this is the form that an alien encounter takes rather than something moving proximate to human experience, such as spaceships landing on Earth? Wow. I did like them drawing out it for me. That was very helpful. Like, shit. I do believe that is the most likely scenario for an existential. I'm like losing words in my brain now. For aliens to come to us, I think having that technology to even arrive to us, because apparently the space and time is expanding at a rate that it's impossible. But if they have that technology, I'm sure we'd be like, what the fuck? Magic wizards exist and worms fly in the air. Like, I think it would just, they would have to, not like Elon Musk's chip in our brain, but they would have to advance our biology somehow to make us comprehend them. And then we'd be like, sick. Now we can vibe. And maybe we can chat over some nachos. Is everything I perceive just a figment of my imagination? Everything known doesn't exist. This has been a reminder from your subconscious. What the fuck? Is everything I perceive just a figment of my imagination? That's like, am I in a coma? Right? Is that kind of question? Like, am I in a simulation? Like, is this real? Or someone said there's like a color theory. Like, do we all experience colors the same? Like, is my blue through your eyes like purple? And we all just like said the same words to the same thing, but through your eyes. Like, it's like, how do you describe color without like temperature, animals, emotion? It's just like a fundamental fact of perceiving it in the rainbow spectrum, and we all just assume we see the same colors on the same spectrum, but there are some colorblind people, but I think that's just saying less, not like more or different, or it is different because they see like the wrong color, right? Oh, literally the next question. Are you kidding me? I'm like a fortune teller. What if I perceive blue as you perceive red? Any other color, we are looking at totally different worlds and we will never know. See? Wow. Wow, I feel so big brain right now. Would you rather die someday or live forever? I already answered this, but I think, would I want to be a vampire is a different question. Because, like, you get this instant swagger, confidence, sexy appeal with, like, flawless skin and, like, regenerative powers. And, maybe if you believe on certain franchises, special abilities. But I'd rather die. I'm not going to expand upon that. But I think living forever would make me truly go insane. And I don't want that. What existed before things existed, as in before the Big Bang? Was there anything? There was your mom. The concept of beginning and end, it's a circle. I think it's an infinite loop. Like a parabola. You know what I mean? Two sides of the same coin. As computers advances, it's likely that we will be able to build a never near perfect simulation of the universe. If we're not the bottom level, it's infinitely likely that we're not the top either. It's like Inception. Like, in a reality upon a reality upon a reality. That would suck, being the bottom simulation, But we have potential. We could build one of our own, and we could be second to the bottom, and so on. Next question. We have the technology to program a robot that can mimic the loving care of a mother. Let's say for even a 24-hour period, this thing can be delicate, sing, nurse, play, react, laugh, play games, you name it. If we put, let's say, $3 billion in a robot, I can do this for that 24-hour period, but it has no soul, no judgment, opinion, or anything of the sort. If a mother does the exact same thing, you would immediately think of her as a good mother. What? I don't get this money portion. If a mother does the exact same thing, you would immediately think of her. Largely the entire universe as we know it, as indifferent as a robot, as humans and animals are the only ones who seem to possess the ability to reason, and we are largely here without any guidance or intent, and yet we have this innate, intangible drive, and we think and reason and just so fucking nuts being alive. Okay. I really think this is a tangent question. I did not check before. I'm just scrolling through the void of the beautiful Reddit landscape. How may entropy be reversed? There is as yet insufficient data for a meaningful answer. Someone said, reverse entropy, that's easy, just sign a contract with me. Oh, why Donald Duck wears a shirt but no underwear? Maybe he's a pervert. Maybe it's a real question about why does any animal wear clothes in cartoons? Because in nature they don't do that. It's fiction. They don't talk. They don't have Mickey Mouse clubs. Okay? They don't got the clubs in real life. So why? If there's a fictional program, I'm not questioning anything in their bubble of reality, because it's fiction. Okay? If it was a non-fiction story, then we'd be questioning why the ducks have no pants. But it's for kids and it's fiction. Okay? So I'm not gonna ponder that anymore.
Clap, clap, clap. Clap, clap, clap.
Okay. I think I'm back to recording. My camera died. So fun. I think I'm going to do a few more because my brain's about to explode with new knowledge of the world. Could God microwave a burrito so hot that even he couldn't eat it? Well, I think our Jesus Christ could do anything because he's God. And he's a fictional character. Is it theoretically possible for absolute nothing to exist? I feel like this shouldn't be confusing, but for me, it is and kind of freaks me out to think about. Yeah, that's like, can there ever be like a space of no matter, like atom-wise particles? I don't, I think so. I think at the edges of the universe where it's expanding, I think beyond that expanse is nothing. Or maybe nothing is just a theoretical concept and everything is something. Okay. Life is just an illusionary fragment projected by your brain. This makes me really uncomfortable. Yeah. Because our brains are the only thing we have concept of, we are the center of our own universes. We perceive what we perceive. We learn what we learn. We can assume that others learn the same, but our brains are just feeding us data that we believe to be everyone's reality. And that is uncomfortable, for sure. The point of existing in the first place. I already answered that so many fucking times. How do I know that this is real? That I didn't get into a car accident and this is all a coma dream? Someone responded, why does it matter? Um, the fact that literally everything ends, your relationships, your life, humanity, our planet, our solar system, the sun, all of the burning hydrogen in the universe is finite, and all of the stars will eventually go dark, leaving a cold black universe. Well, unless you believe time is a flat circle, then it all begins again, you know, in however bajillion quintillion years past. Or, or, the parallel universe theory. Maybe this universe dies at the moment the other one begins, so that, there's infinite dark universes and there's infinite universes that have just started. So maybe nothing really dies in that regard. Or if you don't believe in that theory, then yeah, I guess time ends, and you break up with your girlfriend, and that ends. I guess when the world implodes. Um, you don't believe in destiny, yet you can't deny if you hadn't made all of those extremely specific choices, you wouldn't be here to enjoy. Fuck you, destiny. What the fuck? I feel like this question is like worded right. I just didn't say it right. You don't believe in destiny, yet you can't deny if you hadn't made all of those extremely specific choices, you wouldn't be here to enjoy. Is that like following your gut? Um, Destiny implies an inverse cause and effect, though saying I wouldn't be here if I didn't make these specific choices is just the natural conclusion. Destiny says I made these choices because I needed to be here. Yeah, destiny is like there's a reason, there's a purpose, it's fate, it's divine intervention. I don't really believe in all that. I think we made the choices that we made, and the things happened the way they did, you know? And it's just the way it is. It's just how life moves on. And we're in control of our own destinies slash lives. Who closes the bus door when the bus driver gets off? Seriously though, for it's probably the idea that if I changed one tiny detail in my life, my entire existence could be changed. For example, I could never gotten on this one chat site and I wouldn't have never met the person I consider my closest friend. Okay, pointless story, but I like the bus anecdote. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's like a button or a lever that closes the door, but I've never really thought about that till now. And maybe a lot of you haven't either, because it always seems like a laborious task. They're like, get in, I'm gonna close the door. It takes 15,000 calories to and like or maybe modern buses are like it's an app on your phone. It's an app on my phone. It's Bluetooth. The door's Bluetooth. It's wireless. You know. Oh, someone said there's a switch outside the bus to open and close the door, only accessible by the key. Oh, big brain. Did you know the word incorrectly is always spelled incorrectly unless it is spelled incorrectly? It may not be existential to you, but it feels like it to me. Oh. It is a linguistic example of infinity. I guess incorrectly is correctly spelling the meaning for something that is not correct. So like if that feedback loop fucks with you, then yeah, that is kind of interesting to think about. We were given a mind to find patterns, attribute reasons, and connect consequences in a world fundamentally quiet about its purpose. extend out, we desperately try to imbue sensibility into a universe that seemingly doesn't have one. It always leaves me with a sense that anything viewed in a sufficiently different manner will lead to infinite degrees of perspectives, all equal with none being primary. Our minds are fundamentally prone to frustration of a world that won't yield to our expectations or abstractions. Um, I think that's where the video might end. I really have no idea what I just read. I probably have to read that 50 times to understand that. Maybe. Maybe. Wait, let me try one last time. Okay. We were given a mind to find patterns, attribute reasons, and connect consequences in a world fundamentally quiet about its purpose. I don't think we're ever, like, given a mind to. Well, I guess we do find patterns to survive, to continue on. You know? Like, connect consequences, like, don't eat spiders, they're poisonous. We connected those synapses to know that certain things are dangerous. Life's purpose, I think it's just like a random shithole of everything trying to live the best and do whatever it needs to do to live. You know, what they say about a dog chewing off its own leg to survive, that is, I think, the essence of life. Um, Someone replied to that, the universe makes less sense when we try to think about it, and more sense when we take a bite of a delicious pizza. Well, what a positive note to end such a complicated discussion on existentialism. Um, you know, I was very enlightened today, or I guess tonight. It's nighttime. It's the evening time. Also, yeah, this is a Pegasus, not a unicorn. By the way, my family corrected me, and yes, okay. Um, I hope you all enjoyed this trippy conversational conversation with me. Um, I'll see you later. Okay, goodbye. Oops, shit.